Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Today, Michigan did their spring game, and since for the first time in many, many years, Michigan actually played a real spring game, not just, enhanced scrimmage, not just, we had obviously some COVID years where things were shut down, so Michigan played their first real spring game in several years, and I don't know what I was really hoping to see, but if I'm honest, the game was pretty boring. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen a real spring game, so I don't know what my expectations really were, but it would seem to be really boring to me. Uh, Both offenses were pretty poor. The highlights of the game would probably be when the backups saw the action. Clemens with a spectacular diving touchdown catch. You had some good trick plays in there, a tight end to tight end pass, and another one to, I think, Clemens again, wide receiver pass to, I think, a tight end, Bredesen. And so it's like, okay, there were some things, but it was just a very vanilla game. Just lots of simple runs. Again, I don't know what you take out of this game because your team is split. They're drafted amongst two different coaches, so your talent's split up. The two will help this a little bit. They had Cade McNamara play both teams for the first, 4 out of 5 series or something like that. He played both. He took one off and then came back in. And he didn't look anything great. Just being honest, he didn't look good. There were plays there, you can see it, and it just didn't come together, and whoop-de-doo, Tarantula Town, right? It's a spring game. So outside of the starters who didn't play a ton, I do have to point out Corum looked really good. He broke off a couple runs, like some nice outside sweep action he got, I think, an 18 to 20 yard run. He had a nice run up the middle for 10 yards-ish. Definitely don't want to use him too much. Donovan Edwards had made a nice catch running down the sideline. I don't know if it was exactly a goal route. I don't think it was a wheel route, but I think it was split out against a cornerback, or maybe it was a linebacker. And he, I think it was against Khalil Green that he got that one. But, just the versatility of him doing that. And you could see that in the game plan a little bit. They had some players. Henning is another one that they sprinkled in as a running back potential, wide receiver potential. So it's just more interesting that way to see where players are really slotted. Because, I don't see spring practice every day. I don't get to see what they're doing in these practices. So just interesting to see what I read online and then see what actually comes to fruition. Again, this game just makes me think of it more as a cupcake game, if you will. Where the game doesn't matter, if you will. I mean, Michigan should win, good teams should beat cupcakes, right? But it's more of this is where you get those other players in, the ones who don't get the most reps, the one who's get to be on the field and get those highlights, those experiences, those memories. And that's what this spring game really felt like, where you got your true freshmen, your guys who have come in and, they were early enrollees. I think Michigan had 13 of them this offseason, and 12 of them were suited up to play this game. And, it's that's the chance for those guys to get some acclimation to being in the big house. It's also a chance to get those walk-on guys who don't get much of any hype or anything. They're on the practice squad and such, or the prep squad. And, man, they really get a chance to get out there and make some plays. And definitely, outside of Cade McNamara, which was underwhelming, but whoop-de-doo, definitely Bowman played decent. I mean, for a guy who started 16 games at Texas Tech, I wish he would be a little bit more accurate, but, he doesn't get the most reps either. So, really, I think the storyline is Warren, the quarterback Warren. He looked pretty good. If you're not unfamiliar, he had, leukemia, I think that was. He is a quarterback out of California. He, didn't get much of any offers. He becomes a walk-on at Michigan, and he threw the ball pretty well. He reminds me, again, of a quarterback that's like the gunslinger. And, he's the guy that just goes back there and just chucks the ball, and then, you catch it. Or it's just not going to be caught. It's just rifled at you. And, obviously, not a lot of experience, right? So he just looks like a guy that if you could get a little touch on some of those throws, man, he's got good potential. I think he's the one they were talking about that said that he's had a really good spring, that you could see him playing, even maybe starting on some MAC level schools. So I don't know, but he looked promising, and he even came back in after sitting out for a while, the fourth quarter there, and had the last 2-minute drive Michigan had. So again, it doesn't really matter who wins and loses. I'm not getting to eat the steaks. If you didn't hear that, the winning team got to go out to the steakhouse. The losing team got hot dogs. This game had Jim Harbaugh's quirkiness all over it, and that's fine and dandy. I also want to say I really did enjoy hearing Jake Butt calling. Sorry, my phone went. Jake Butt doing the color commentary. I thought he had some really good analysis. I wonder if he's going to become a Big Ten announcer going forward, or was he just doing this because it was Michigan? That'll be interesting to find out going forward. And I thought it was also one little bit of, what would you say, eating crow for Devin Gardner, as he had to interview Caden McNamara and ask him about like what it was like to come back after winning the Big Ten and all that. Because if you saw Devin Gardner, and when he did his Monday morning quarterbacks on YouTube and such, and he was not a fan of Caden McNamara, and he quite honestly said he did not think Caden McNamara was the quarterback that would get the job done for Michigan. So it was kind of nice in that way, where Devin Gardner got to eat some crow just for like his lack of faith in Caden McNamara. I'm not saying like Cade even knew about it. If I was in that high-profile sport, I would totally not be on social media, YouTube, Twitter, any of that stuff where you're just going to get so much hate. So maybe Cade had absolutely no idea. But yeah, Devin Gardner was not, and probably still is not, a Cade McNamara fan. So I thought that was kind of neat that he had to interview the Big Ten champ quarterback. So, it's what it is. I don't know. There's not much really to take out of this game. It's a spring game. Hopefully, if there were any recruits there, hopefully they enjoyed it. Maybe they'll sway them a little bit. I know people always talk about recruiting, wish Michigan would do better at recruiting. Like, why aren't there more recruits here? I saw that tweet today. I'm like, man, don't get me wrong. It's great if you can get them there. But what you really want them to do is come to Michigan for their barbecue at the Big House. I think that's in, like, June. Like, I think it's June, the last, like, weekend that you can recruit before the dead period. And, like, that's when you want your big star guys to come, right? Don't get me wrong. You want your star 4 or 5 star guys to come anytime they'll come. But if you can get them to come to the barbecue at the Big House, that's when you really want them to come to be at your school. That last little bit, like the big signing period day before the dead period begins. Anyways, sorry, off tangent there. If you guys have any thoughts, let me know what you think. It was really cool. Obviously, I love seeing the freshmen getting some catches. Walker got some. Dixon got one. Clemens obviously was like 3 or 4 catches, just excellent. That diving touchdown was great. So, cool. Wide receiver room looking good, looking real good. So, if you have any thoughts, put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. And until I see you guys next time, as always, go blue.